Hello, hello, and welcome to the Wave. Today we are here with the Cube team, Dylan and Veritas. How are you guys? Welcome.
Doing good. Excited to be here.
Yeah, pretty good. Thanks for having us.
Nice, yeah, of course. And then we're also joined here by our co-host Wookie. How are you, Wookie?
I'm doing great, thank you, thank you. Definitely excited for this one, especially because Dylan and Veritas look like they're about to drop a mixtape, so I'm super hyped and definitely big fan of Cube and everything you guys are doing. Been tracking it for a while now, so super excited for this one.
Were you able to get in?
I'm excited
while we
here
had
as
Twitter
well.
private?
Yeah, I actually did.
Nice.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
I got in as well. Very hyped.
OG.
We're gonna be
Hopefully
flexing
there's
those
no-
cards.
Hopefully there's no mixtape. Usually that's a top signal.
That's true.
Yeah, so I'm super excited for this. But anyways, without further ado, let's just get into it. So basically, just give us the elevator pitch. Tell us what you guys do with the team. What is Cube, first of all? I think that's a major question we want to get out of the way.
Yeah, totally. So Cube is the new hybrid crypto exchange that we are building. The easiest way to think about it is you will be able to use it like Coinbase, but on the back of it, it will be behaving much closer to what you know from the dexes like DYDX or anything on Solana like Jupiter.
Cool. And then as far as what you guys do on the team, could you tell us a little bit about that? And then just how the team is managed as well. I think that's a good introductory question as well.
Yeah, sure. So I'm mostly coding and doing some mismanagement.
Part-time CEO, I guess.
Yeah. What about you, Dylan?
Yeah, CMO. Focused on everything marketing, doing some coding as well. Excited to start diving into the direct response side of things for Cube. So really focused on the data and how we can ensure our users stick.
Sweet. And how would you say both of y'all's like Web 2 and Web 3 experiences from the past translate to what is Cube now?
Yeah, go first, Dylan.
All right. So my background, 2015 to 2017, I was a dev at an ad tech company. Then 2 years later, I was dev at E-Trade, which was at the time Options House, now Power E-Trade. Left, started a couple businesses, launched like 15 different brands. They all failed, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I read this book, Ogilvy on Advertising, and something clicked. So I launched a brand in March of 2020, got acquired a year and a half later. And all of that said, I think what translates for me is the dev experience, being able to work on some of the trading tools and some of the user interface that we're building. But more importantly, my brand was actually called Upstart Epoxy, the one that I sold. And so over the past 5 years, I've sold everything from hairbrushes, epoxy. Like if you can name it, I've sold it through advertising. And so when it comes to Web3, I think there's a huge opportunity. It's kind of a blue ocean. When you see ads right now for exchanges and crypto, typically it's like get $5 off when you sign up today. A lot of people view ads for crypto exchanges as scams. So we have an opportunity with Cube to reinvent how people think about crypto advertising and seeing ads for Cube in their placements. And so with our Twitter, we have Trace over here who is part of the marketing team. We're really trying to bring this vintage, there's a couple of different ways to describe it, but long story short, we're trying to reinvent the way that crypto advertising and marketing is done.
Yeah, and I think you've definitely killed it on that front. Your ads have been the talk of the town. You know, everybody's talking about how clean
Thank
they
you.
look, super like retro, and just it looks like an old school Apple ad or something. You know, it's sick. So whoever's behind those ads, props to you, because
He's actually right over there. I don't know if he wants to walk over and
respect.
Respect for sure. Amazing job. And it's like super organized and like a super well themed like advertising campaign. Like I for sure, like I see the retro style and I love it, to be honest, even though I didn't live through those times because I'm not a boomer like you guys, but I still, get those vibes.
That's great. No, that's exactly what we're going for. So that's great to hear.
Yeah, for sure. And then moving on, let's talk a little bit about what you guys have been focusing on as an exchange. And, it's been kind of like another theme that you guys have carried over is like the speed of your exchange. Could you tell us a little bit about like what that means and like how that's carried over?
Yeah, sure. So one of the first things that we planned around building was like, how do we make sure that the Cube matching engine and market data infrastructure and then the settlement can actually compete with traditional finance exchanges? So things like LMAX, CME, Nasdaq, and most crypto exchanges are pretty far away from that. So we wanted to build something that will actually be able to do that. So we started from ground up everything. We used a lot of something that's called mechanical sympathy. And that's a term where you think basically about the hardware, the network, and all the like physical environment where you deploy your software. So it's almost like the total opposite with what you do on the cloud. So on the cloud, you're just like, hey, like it's someone else's computers and they like live far away from me or close to me. I don't really care. And I just push my stuff there. And it works really well for certain types of applications, like food delivery apps, or websites. Like if you're building your personal blog, you don't really care about the performance other than like my website loads pretty fast. And since there's a lot of people building websites, there are services that optimize like the load times and all of that. And there are other people thinking about it. Unfortunately, when you're building an exchange, there's nobody that like usually thinks about like, hey, how to optimize the matching engine and how to optimize like the latency from the cloud service providers, like because that's not their core business. So we own all our like physical boxes that we have. We plan everything in the data centers and then build the code to the specs that we know will work, like where it will work. So in many cases, it's kind of similar to like some of the principles that Solana took when Anatoly and Raj were building it, to effectively push the hardware to the limits, and then your software stack will be able to grow with the hardware. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's a great response.
Great answer. I have a question. So have you had any like issues like resistance for, because I know that certain people, myself included, we got screwed over with like FTX. So there's some certain fear in the market regarding exchanges. Like, how have you tackled that aspect in particular? How have you built that trust?
Yeah, 100%. Like I lost money on FTX as well. I don't know, Dylan, if you did.
I pulled mine out the day before. No idea how.
Oh man.
Got it out. Yeah. Like I couldn't pull it out. So that obviously sucked. And like, to be fair, one of the reasons why we started Cube was to respond to that. I was like really not happy about what happened, not only with my own money, but with like the perception of the industry outside of crypto. Where suddenly, like my mom or like my family were like, hey, like is this all a scam? Like how is it possible that like this like pinnacle of the industry that was on Fortune magazine and like all of that, like suddenly like doesn't have money to pay people out. So I wanted to make sure that we can prevent that in the future. So that was effectively the second pillar of what we started building Cube on. So outside of the speed was how do we bring the safety and security of something like Fireblocks to individual people. And that's how we started building the MPC infrastructure with MPC Vault that we have. But the way to view it is it's slightly different from MPSig, like multisig. And the reason for that is like multisigs are really good if you are using like a single blockchain. So if you are on Ethereum or you are on Solana, I'm sure you guys used squats. Like this is a perfect solution if you were just targeting one chain. The problem is there's no standard for multi-sig solution across every blockchain. So we wanted to minimize the risk of like deploying different multi-sig solutions to different blockchains. So that's why we built this multi-party computation. that allows us effectively to integrate more blockchains faster and natively. And maybe that's like the third third decision that we made when we were building Cube, which was when you are trading tokens, I want those tokens to be stored on their native blockchains. So if you deposit Bitcoin to Cube, it's on the Bitcoin network. If you deposit ETH onto Cube, it's on Ethereum, and Solana on Solana. And that's like fundamentally the main difference, I think, when you think about most of the DEXs. So I really love all the teams that are building on Solana in terms of DEXs. But when they list Bitcoin, they list a wrapped Bitcoin. And in many cases, you don't know who wrapped it. Is it BitGo? Is it FTX? Like, we don't know. Like, I'm sure you guys remember, like, right after FTX collapse, everyone was like, hey, so what is this Bitcoin on Solana really? And a lot of it was just Bitcoin managed by the FTX bridge that was called Solid. And on the face of it, I would imagine like 90% of the people on Solana network actually didn't know that. Like, should I hold that Bitcoin or no? And I think it's especially important for people that actually buy Bitcoin for narrative. They think like, hey, this is like gold. This is something that will protect me from inflation. And then it turns out it's actually not the Bitcoin that you were promised. Just not the Bitcoin that you were looking for.
Yeah, so in reality, I guess the focus would be not relying that much on third parties and focusing on keeping everything native. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a better approach, I would say. And I have another question. I know the Mad Lads guys with Backpack, they're building their own exchange. How do you perceive that in terms of like competition? I know there must be some respect there because, of course, they've been killing it also. But what is your take on them?
Yeah, sure. So I think, Armani and Tristan are great. They are good friends. We knew each other for a long time. And I think what they are building is really good for the ecosystem altogether. And I can't wait for having actually like 2 Solana-based exchanges joining the mix and like fighting together against the, like 700 other exchanges. So I actually think of them as like a force of good. That's how I would describe it. Just like the people from Solana can actually build something that other chains will be like, yeah, let's use it.
Yeah, I think it'll benefit the entire ecosystem. And at the end of the day, competition just helps the user of the product because it makes you better and it just improves the experience for everybody as well.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, go ahead.
Just to touch on that. So I think one, competition drives innovation. Two, as Cube says, is the majority of other builders in this industry say, is we're trying to do good for the users, onboard users. So I think anyone that's building this space is a win for everybody.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And you mentioned something about like a Solana-based exchange versus, something different. Could you tell us a little bit about that and how that what's the differentiator there and why it's better to be built on Solana versus other chains?
Yeah, so first, like the Solana based, right? Like what I mean by that is like the builders that are really coming from Solana ecosystem. So that's like the main thing. Which is like some people know me in Solana, a lot of people know Armani. And I think people using the product that grew out of the Solana ecosystem will popularize the Solana itself. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we are actually at Cube, we are using Solana Validator Client to run our own app chain where we record all the trades. So any development in Solana Validator Client like FireDancer or improvements in the performance from the Solana Labs is actually benefiting what Cube is putting out there as well on the settlement layer of Cube. Yeah, so super excited about the projects that are coming out, like FireDancer.
Yeah, it definitely feels like we're in the eve of something great here. And I want to touch on something else. I know that a bunch of like dexes reward early users for their involvement with the dex. Do you have something like that planned in the future?
Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, I mean, how much do we want to break down here?
You know,
Yeah, so over the past couple weeks, the whole team's been working 24/7 on something similar, a program to reward early users, loyalty. For example, Wookie, you've got the cube card, so does Wombat. That's a factor. So whether it's points and the future rewards that are incorporated, partnerships that are incorporated, we have something built and 97% way to launch.
Hell yeah.
Dude, that is extremely exciting. And I think you guys are like, I see it in the same way that we just had Tensor on the show. I think they were our first episode, and they've really like built an empire off of like rewarding their early users, rewarding all of their users in a way that like no other marketplace has done it before. And that's really what I think skyrocketed them to first place. So if you guys have a marketing strategy like that, a rewards platform or anything like that, I think that's gonna do wonders for your platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, and touching on that as well, because I remember on our episode with Tensor, they were talking to us about like how they were tailoring the experience to the big volume users. Like, has that been a factor that goes in the brainstorming behind Cube as well?
So some of it, I think for Exchange, you want to make sure that you have a diverse set of users, I think. So like from the rewards perspective, we are actually trying to maintain like a good balance. Because like a lot of bigger users, I think, at least when I think about it, they can be mercenary, especially if it's like you drove them to the platform for some form of rewards, and then like for all those platforms, the rewards are at some point tapering off. Like on Solana, it's the like inflation schedule for Sol and whatnot. So like making sure it's not just the big users, but like actually like smaller users like enjoying the platform. And through the rewards program, you like learn more about what people like about the product itself, I think is critical for me.
Yeah, I think there's so much that Cube offers for every user. But with that said, Bartosz, other co-founder Larry, and their background and experience in traditional high frequency trading, we have a lot of utilities for those high volume traders too.
Super excited.
Yeah, and then
great answer, by the way.
For sure. And then real quick, I wanted to touch on beta testing. You guys are running a beta testing experience right now, right? You're letting some people go in and test the exchange. How's that been going so far? How are the results looking? Are people enjoying it? I just want to hear about that.
Yeah, I think so. So I'm actually the most I don't want to talk necessarily about the good feedback. For me, the most valuable feedback is when I can go and change something. So we got decent amount of feedback where people like, yeah, I love it, like it's great. But like we got decent amount of feedback as well that led to plenty of changes. So if any of the listeners are actually in the beta testing group, I would still encourage you to like send your feedback, because we are actively addressing it, and like we will be rewarding, I guess, the feedback loop as well.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
That's definitely a great approach. Yeah. Sweet. And what would you say is like the key differentiator? What's going to set Cube apart from the rest?
I mean, I think the tech's there. The tech is incredible. The dev team, I mean, the entire teams. It's the best team that I've had the opportunity to work with. And I mean, to put pressure on Trace and myself, I think the big piece is going to be getting this out there in a way that changes the view of crypto and crypto exchanges. That's how I view it.
Yeah, no, like I mean, we are definitely thinking outside of Solana and how to grow it to like one of the bigger exchanges out there, where people think this is the place to trade crypto. So like that marketing piece is like really important, because some people will come for the tech, but I think it's like very small percentage of that like population.
Yeah, and I definitely appreciate that because I know we've all experienced this. Like we talk about crypto, we're passionate about this stuff, so we talk about it with our families, our normie friends, and I mean it's sometimes we get those dirty looks, and they're like just like you said, they think it's a scam. But I'm definitely happy that you're actively trying to address that and just make it more normie friendly per se.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like one of the most difficult things to do is when a normie asks you, what is Cube or whatever you guys are working on, what is it? Putting it in one sentence that they get.
With almost everyone I talk to, it's really hard to explain because we're at a point in crypto where the tech is evolving even more and it's getting even harder to explain. So marketing is something that I think really is going to be crucial for all of these things, especially getting it to the normies. And I think that you guys are killing it already with that. Especially, I would say that choosing Solana to like launch on gave you pretty much an instant platform for being an exchange built on Solana, and I think that was a great idea, a great way to get some instant recognition without having to start from scratch, pretty much.
Yeah, and if anybody asks me what Cube is, any normie, I'll be just like, yeah, it's the exact opposite of FTX,
Yeah. Yeah, so like when I talk with like non-crypto friends and I tell them like I'm building a crypto exchange, the most common theme is like, oh, so just like FTX. And it's like pretty hard thing to like yeah, it's kind of like FTX, but like let's hope like the money doesn't disappear. So I think as an industry we will need to figure out how to counter that, because it's like it's in, at least for me, it's in every conversation, and it's not even in a bad way. Like people don't assume like the money will disappear, but it's like the first thing that comes to their mind, which like to me is like blowing, because like nobody says, oh, just like Coinbase. I didn't had a single person say that.
Yeah, it's tough, man, for sure. And but I think also like it feels like we're entering like a mini bull market here, and with the bull also comes a little bit less skepticism. So
Don't
I guess
jinx
that's it. I don't want to jinx it, but I guess it's a good thing,
And we're getting a ton of new people in Solana as well, and in crypto in general. So I think that's something you guys should definitely take advantage of, especially in this period of time.
Yeah, and just to wrap it up, you guys, I want to ask you, how did y'all get into Solana particularly? Because I know you got like a trading background, but like, what got you into Solana?
NFTs. So I bought my first NFTs on Ethereum. And then I got tired of paying $50, $100 in gas fees. And I heard about Solana. And then I saw the DTP collection and just really dove in.
So that's
So
how
that
I
was
met
your
her.
that was
Yeah.
your first NFT on Solana? DTP?
That was my first actual big sweep on Solana.
Respect.
Yeah,
Respect.
Which
and
is
then
how I
they
met
say
these
NFTs
guys. So
have no
it was
utility.
absolutely worth it.
We
Yes,
met
sir.
after
Hell
the
yeah.
sweep.
After
Not
the
before.
sweep. Yeah. Clear. Make it clear.
It was like a chain reaction.
Like I was really surprised, because I think he was like one of the like bigger holders at one point, and we somehow like discovered that he actually lives in Chicago. We are all in Chicago, so it was like, oh wow, like the world is actually pretty small.
Shout out to all the Trash Panda chads out there listening.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and for me it was like mostly during COVID. So I was like on and off in like crypto like for decent amount of time. Like I was actually like mining Bitcoin in like 2010. But I never worked full time in crypto before COVID. And during COVID it was like totally random. I left my job from traditional finance. I had my non-compete where you cannot work for long period of time. And normally this is like the best time of your life. You go travel, all expenses covered and whatnot. You don't need to work. But you couldn't do that during COVID. And somehow I got into it.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining, man. You're definitely an asset to the crypto
100%.
space as a whole.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Is there anything else you would guys want to touch on, particularly anything you would like to let the audience know?
I mean, nothing's coming to my mind. I think you guys covered a lot.
Sweet. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Officially, with this episode, we're going to start accepting donations on our Drip channel. Thanks. So from now on, if we receive any thanks in the form of droplets, we're going to be shouting out our top donors on the channel as well. So I just wanted to take this space to let them know. I want to thank the team with Cube for being here with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Love what
Massive
you guys are
thank you.
doing.
Yeah, Wombat,
So,
I'm gonna have to PFP the one of one from you before
Let's
this
go.
drops.
Let's
One of the
go.
day.
Let's do it.
100%.
And if this video gets enough engagement, Dylan and Bartosz are gonna drop a mixtape. Heard it here first.
In Polish.
So,
None of that.
no.
Like
ultimate top
everything
signal.
was crushed.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, no, thank you, really, guys.
Yeah,
It's
for
been
sure.
a pleasure, and
Thank you, guys.
hope you catch you on the next one.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Cheers.
Take
Thanks.
it easy.